Hello.
Hi. Thanks for joining me tonight, Dublin.
Thank you.
So, everybody, my name is Yvonne, and I'd like to introduce to you a very special person to me. This is my cousin Dublin. I have known her since I was a baby. We're
Yeah.
linked. We're linked by our mothers. Our mothers are sisters from the island of Palau, which is next to Guam. I was actually just there in October, and it's a good 26 hours away of flight time. So it takes some time to get there. She's actually living in the future right now, and I'm living in the past here in Northwest Indiana.
Yeah.
Right now, it's currently 8 o'clock at night and on a Tuesday night. And Dublin, tell us what time it is over there in Palau.
It is 11 in the morning, Wednesday.
Wow. So if I need to know future things happening, I'm just gonna give you a call then, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit of information about you, Dublin.
Well, my name is Dublin. I live here in Palau. I have been in the army I was in the army for 10 years. I joined the army at a very young age at 19. And here I am back in the island. Um, did the 9 to 5 job and was didn't fit well with it. So anyway, I got out of that and came home and searched for other ways to do this thing. And actually, I got my daughter to homeschool and prayed and seek the Lord on what to do. And the Lord led me to designing for businesses. And I do it for fun and I do it to help businesses. So what I do is brand design in Aberdeen, which is Ivan's business, is one of my very first customers. Anyway, so that I was in the army. I first trained in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and went to Germany. That's Bamberg, Germany, and deployed to Iraq.
Mhm.
Went to El Paso, Texas.
Wow.
Awesome place out there, but from another desert to another desert. And to Fort Drum, New York, one of our coldest base in the U.S. Army. And just as I said, I'm back here in the island. To summarize my personality, I love God, I love family, I love country, and I love freedom. And so what do I do for fun? I'm kind of going over my head about some points Ivan told me I have to touch on. So I like learning anything I can get my hand on. I've learned how to sew. I've learned how to cook. I've learned how to, right now I'm learning how to garden in the process of learning.
Mm-hmm.
Recently I learned how to grow cucumber, had a failure after my first success, but there's always those, you have to fail in order to learn, or there are always those part of learning. So, Ivan, you let me know when I need to tell you about
Yes.
my story.
So the reason why Dublin and I are talking tonight, and I asked her if we can do an interview with her because she's got a really good testimony to share with us dealing with eczema. And Everdale Skincare and eczema kind of, they go together. It's the very reason why Everdale Skincare started was my baby at the time. Now he's not a baby, he's 8 years old. He had eczema as a baby. And so formulating relief really helped him with that. And it's always so good to know the other side of things of when you're dealing with eczema and topical steroids and from somebody who actually experienced it in their lives. So we are here to talk to Dublin because she did experience using having eczema and dealing with it and the struggles that she went through dealing with it and using topical steroids in her life. So could you please share with us, Dublin, about your experience using topical steroids?
Yes, so I started off naive or uneducated about the whole topical steroid thing. I did not know anything about topical steroid. But one day, something started growing on my foot, and it was breaking out like eczema. And I thought it was an infection. I didn't even know much about eczema. And so I went to look for like athlete food creams in over the counter.
Okay.
Right. And none of those work. I even tried the most common used one like cortisone. That didn't work. Any athlete food or medication that would deal with infection. Nothing worked. I even Googled like home remedies. And so finally I went to the doctor here, the local doctor, and she told me, we're gonna give you this, and it's called cortisol. And oh, you know how it is with these things. And that's really all she said. And I nodded, and I was, whatever she meant, I was not interested. At that time, I was not interested to really hear what she's saying, other than the fact that I need a medicine that would work and get rid of this breakout on my foot. So that was the beginning of me using topical steroid. The funny thing about taking that was when I went back, I didn't need to see the doctor to get a refill. And it was like a nonstop refill. And so guess what? That went on for 3 years. And it was like 2017 when I started, and it went on for 3 years. I would go to the counter and just can easily say, I'm taking this. Can you please give me a refill? No need to see the doctor. And I think a lot of people have the same issue as I do, or the same case where you can just easily get it without ever seeing a doctor. Anyway, you know, it after a while, happens with this is many people who are in the same shoe that I was in will experience a breakout somewhere else other than the spot that you treated. And so you will try to also apply the topical steroid on those areas. Like for me, I start breaking out on my hands, so I would do that. And then on my toes, and then you know what? Before you know it, it starts to come up on my neck right here. And so what happens is your body start to ask for more. You get addicted to it. But what we don't realize, it's causing more damage to the original issue, which is actually in most of the time in your gut system. There are many other areas that people say that it might be sourced from other parts of your body, but most of the time it's a gut system issue. Topical steroid deal with the top issue, so you will see more and more, and that's what I was experiencing. Until, and you know, all along throughout those years, I have known and understood the healing of the Lord, which maybe I can stop and share a verse. All along, I've stood on what the Lord says about healing. Am I able to share my screen? And I want to share this. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I had you on, I muted me so I can hear you clearer now. Oh. Yeah, so there's that arrow that says share screen. Do you see that option?
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to share this because this brings hope to many of us who face issues like this.
Okay.
This is Isaiah 53:5. But he, Jesus, was pierced for our transgressions. And he was crushed for our iniquities. The chastisement that brought us peace, circle, was on him, and by his wounds we were healed. So that circle right there, very important point. Peace is actually the Hebrew word shalom. Now, shalom is more than just peace. It means wholeness in your spirit, in your soul, in your body, that full healing in your body. And so when I stood on that, I understood that I had to receive healing from the Lord. The same way that anybody out there would receive salvation from the Lord is we have to come to a point where we receive our healing. And from then, I literally wrote it on my notebook. I said, this day, it was November 2020. And I believe on that day, the Lord started to work for me a healing, because not long after that, my mother, I remember it so clearly. She came out of the house and saw me, and I think I mentioned something about the medicine, like I needed to go and get another refill. And she said, "Why don't you stop? I think that's enough." And when I heard that, in my heart, I knew that that was the Lord using her mouth to talk to me, to say, stop taking this medicine. And that was the very first step to healing. You know, nothing showed up for what? Like, I would say a month. Everything looked normal, like like how I've been as far as my body, everything looked normal. And then once that, I think it was like 3 to 4 weeks, about a month, and then a breakout started happening. And it was crazy. I think this is good for me to share my photo, Yvonne, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's amazing how God just answers you when you least expect it. You're like, wait, what? This is great.
Yeah.
Yay. I need
Because
that.
he
Yeah.
knew that I had to stop this first, but I wasn't smart enough to catch up with that.
Yeah. Wow, the pictures.
Yeah, so he had to use my mother's mouth to stop all this, because this medicine is poison, you guys. It's poison. So this is just as you can see, it's an 8-week the whole process was not 8 week. I just captured 8 week within this big process of healing. So I'm not saying it lasts 8 weeks. It can last shorter, it can last longer, but the body is so beautifully designed by the Lord to rejuvenate itself and to heal itself. Now, how much more if you would stand on the word of God also on top of that? And there's like a powerful healing flowing through your body. But the body in itself has the code that God put in there to rejuvenate itself and reheal itself. If only you would start with stopping. Because this looks horrible right here, but this is actually the healing process. And what this is, you look at day 1 and it looks absolutely horrible, just crazy. And then as the weeks go by, you will start to see it clear. And I would get happy because it looks like, oh, finally it's over. But then we go back through that same cycle again. And it continues on month after month after month after month. But I really want to show this, not to discourage people, but to say, number 1, stop. And number 2, let the body healing. Then don't be discouraged, because the cycle seems to repeat itself. Where I will show you another picture. Sorry. I'm all over the place. Neck. I want to show you the neck. Now, also, Yvonne, what I want to say too, because you had a son.
Yes.
Well, you have a son.
Yeah.
You have Tristan. When he was so little, the doctor tried to prescribe him topical steroid, and you right away off the bat stop that,
Mm-hmm.
and you went into these things, and that this is a big thing. Do not let your children put this on them, or don't put it on your children. This is so bad. But anyway, these are the what you call topical steroid withdrawal, just like people with withdrawal from like alcohol addiction or things like that. And one major issue, the reason why the skin are reacting like the way they're reacting, and if I would show you these images, these are the areas that I put the cream on. And the reason why that skin is the way it is because topical steroid will thin the skin. So wherever you put it on, it thins that skin layer.
Wow.
So it becomes very susceptible to scratching, inflammation, which is why you have itchiness that are bone deep itch, really hard to scratch. You could scratch until you bleed and you still want to scratch. This is why you get them to crack open and just be open sores, is because the skin is so thin and it will take time to recover. The reason why I really wanted to bring that scripture front and center is the biggest challenge is more than just a skin issue that everybody will face in this if they ever took this medicine. The biggest challenge is the mental challenge. Many people go into depression and hopelessness because of this, because how long you took it and how much, because this kind of topical steroid ranges in dosage, right? And also how long you took it and how much you took it comes into consideration. For example, there are those that are not over the counter. Have you heard of cortisol?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They're in almost, Walgreens, go to Walgreens or any Walmart, you can find them. You don't, it's in the health and beauty area. You don't need to get prescription for them. Cortisone, hydrocortisone, things like that. But they do contain steroid. It's a short name for corticosteroid. They do contain a level of steroid. So, and what's wrong with that is it will deal with the itch, but it will cause more damage to the original issue and add on skin thinning. So,
and two, like we have to realize that whatever we apply to our skin absorbs through our bloodstream, and then you've got every organ in your body that is getting attacked by all of this on top of it.
yes.
And that is, it's sad. It's sad that this is happening in our world. It's sad that this is being prescribed to babies, and babies are stuck with living like this because parents aren't educated about it or don't know enough about it. They just kind of believe what they hear. And so their babies are, living this until they're 18, 19, 20, and go on, from babies until on. And this is a sad, it's a sad world we live in, that this is even allowed and it's even okay.
Yeah, and even that's the key, is telling people and educating people and informing people, because I didn't know.
Right.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
It was just the Lord who saved me from 3 years of stupidity.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how harmful topical steroids were, like, at all, until I found how much there are people out there that are exposing it through social media, because they are And to me, I listen to those people because they're the ones that are experiencing it. They're the ones that are going
Yeah.
through it. They're the ones that are living with it, from baby until
Yeah.
now they're adults and so on. And they're exposing it, which is great. I love that this is happening. Now, so Dublin, how long did it take until the withdrawals faded away from the topical steroids to where your skin was starting to come back to how it, should
I
be?
think it was kind of up and down. There were seasons, especially into the second year, that I would enjoy. Uh, uh, no itch and not much breakout. Um, as you can see, I mean, there's absolutely nothing on my neck.
Mm-hmm.
Today, there's barely little bits every now and then sensitivity on my finger, but I think I start to really enjoy my life uh, into the second year,
Yeah.
and definitely more into the third year.
Okay.
And now there's different it depends on the person, and because there's so much to, the funny thing, Ivan, is there's barely any doctor that will confess that topical steroid is bad, much less provide advice on how to heal naturally.
Yeah.
And by heal naturally, I mean without depending on topical steroid.
And that's
So
from your experience is
from what I see as I researched it, as I looked at other people's testimony,
yeah.
so a lot of information floating out there are mostly information as testimonies from individuals who walk through their own seasons.
Okay.
And they're very different, because some people are like, well, I stopped eating because because this has to do with like something I took messed up with not only thinning of my skin, but because it's cortisol, it messed up with a natural hormone in my body called cortisol. This is because cortisol, as you get it from the doctor, from the medicine counter, is what would you call a synthetic version of the natural cortisol in your body. And because it's synthetic, it messed up with how my body is programmed to release that natural cortisol. So I had to have time to stop taking this medicine and allow my body to relearn how to produce its own hormones. So I guess I said that too. So in my case, I had to watch out for stuff like coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, because coffee really spikes my cortisol and just throws it off balance even through the night. So there are many things people do, like watch their diet, eat or take supplement, which I really don't believe in taking supplement. Maybe other people do, but and you probably don't either, Ivan.
Right.
I don't know. I think the way God created fruits and vegetables is the way they're supposed to be grown, not.
Yeah. Now, can you make your screen bigger so I can see you better?
Screen?
Yeah. Or back to the normal screen so I can see you better. So I guess too, my question is, so basically somebody who's winging off of steroids, because I feel like it could get a little bit of like, there could be confusion, right? So somebody who just gets off of steroids, for example, and now wants to try a new natural product to see if it works on their skin. Like, do they expect to get immediate, like, feel like there should be results using that natural remedy, or it's like they have to flush this out of their system, they have to go through that transition of topical steroid withdrawals, and then it's a process before you start being like, okay, let me use a natural product, or use a natural product in the meantime, and not just expect like all of a sudden you're like, oh well, I'm going through topical steroid withdrawals and I'm using this product and I'm waiting for it to work within a month or 2 months or 3 months.
Yeah, I think that's what I initially started off thinking, that it will be over within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was discouraging for me when I learned that it went beyond 2 weeks into 3 weeks, and then 4 weeks, and then even a month. And then I was wondering, when will I see the light at the end of the tunnel? But it's so important to flush all that out of the system. And then number two, to get all of the flow of hormones and chemicals back to normal. And then to give time to your skin to heal.
Okay.
I forgot how long does it take for one layer of skin, and you probably know this, Ivan, to fully renew itself. And it's not, I think it was like six weeks or something like that. Probably even longer. But it's unrealistic to think that you could just slap some natural ointment on it and it heals within a matter of week or 2 weeks. It's unrealistic.
Okay.
It took, like, take me for example, I took 3 years to my body.
Wow.
Okay. I took that long period of time to poison my body on a continuous daily basis. So all the more reason for me to say, just stop. Don't do it if you're thinking about it. And if you have started it, stop. Because the longer that period of time, if you took it for 1 year, if you took it for 2 years, 3 years, the longer it will take for the body to recover.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And so what were your changes? Like, what did you change exactly? Like, what did you use to help you through the process? I know God was a big influence in your life, getting rid of coffee. Is there anything else that you could share?
Yes, the Lord is the influence that brought me to this.
Okay.
In every step of the way, when we invite him to come in, every step of the way, we're not doing it alone. He is the one saying, take this step, take that step, all of that. And throughout the whole season. But I think, Ivan, it's different for everyone, because I've seen people who said, I ate everything I wanted to eat. I'm not gonna have a diet. And the reason why I keep going to diet is you become so sensitive to food.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were points where I was like, I'm actually, should I even eat food? And you know what? Early on in 2021, early on, I took a 21-day fast, and it really did help. It really did help. Even my mother noticed a tremendous help. Fasting is one of God's wonderful design to set your body into a healing mode. And a lot of people are discovering this. They're discovering that, in the fasting mode, you start to go into ketosis, and you start to release hormones that start to build stem cells. And those stem cells are very important for healing process. And so I took that 21-day fast. And then after that, there were seasons where I did a Monday fast. And even now I'm doing a Monday. And that's just for me. That's just for me. I like to fast. But other people are like, no, I'm not doing any diet or whatever. I'm eating chocolate, as many chocolate as I want. And they're probably, I'm drinking coffee, and coffee, like, top things that are very toxic to somebody who may be going through topical steroid withdrawal. Top on the list: coffee, alcohol, sugar, and gluten. Probably can see my finger, they're blurred.
Sorry, we got 10 minutes left on our video. So yes,
Okay.
I love it.
So those are on the top of the list. So,
Oh, wow. Okay.
if somebody's struggling with topical steroid withdrawal, you do your research and you do your own choice, and you look at your body and you see how your body respond, because there are people who just eat whatever they want and they gave their body time as long as they just didn't go back to topical steroid, and they did recover.
Yeah.
But their process was very painful.
Right.
Because of the breakout.
Right. Now you make, it's called, I know Alana can pronounce it better than I am in the Palauan language, which is sad because it was my first language. So like ass oil, which is also called Manu oil. And Dublin here makes it. She ships it to me from the island of Palau. It actually comes from like our family beachfront property. And so she makes this oil so it's as pure as it can be, and she ships it to me, and I put it in a product called Relieve. And we grew up using DAS oil when we would get bug bites, or our grandmas and our moms would put it on our bodies and things like that. So it's a great oil for wound healing and all sorts of like muscle aches, and it has helped my son with his eczema, and as well as I'm sure that is, you use that on your skin. I use it on my face because I always like the way my face, when I put it on my face, I'm like, oh, I love this. It's like making my face look good, younger, flawless,
And since you're talking about like products like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think two important things that becomes very important for people who deal with like eczema, like I was, whether it's due to topical steroid or something that's leading you to search for topical steroid ointment. Two things that we really need is one, not introducing toxins into the body.
Right.
Because the very probably most of the time the reason why you're breaking out is because of toxins.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's in makeup. I mean, you're talking about like the term fragrance. What does fragrance mean? And it blows my mind because people spray it all over their body. It's like fragrance can mean 3,000 ingredients. You don't know. Doesn't have to be disclosed. You can literally look that up. FDA writes it out, no problem, as long as it's
right.
The term fragrance.
And so just because of that, steroid is the wrong choice, because steroid is 100% toxic, and you've seen my images. And so that's number one thing that anybody would be concerned with is toxins, and get it out of the body, and don't reintroduce any more of it into the body. And then number two, comfort, because I'm itching and I'm hurting because my skin is, so something that will soothe and comfort, right?
Yeah.
And then healing, a process and a time for healing. And I think that's why, like, I even tell like this one lady I saw at the market, I said, just use coconut oil. Because there's a soothing feeling to that. And at the same time, there are some healing ingredients, because your ingredients are all natural, all soothing, and all healing. But the problem is, a lot of people don't like the smell of coconut oil.
Yeah. And then another thing too, I think a big one to it too is praying. Really praying from the moment, because when we get to that point when we have, I've dealt with poison ivy, and I start thinking like, wow, is this what people go through when they have eczema on a daily basis? Is what I start thinking with poison ivy.
Probably worst.
Think about having that for the rest of your life, or like what feels like the rest of your life. Like you feel, the negative thoughts that were constant. We think about negative thoughts on a daily basis regardless, but like to go through something like that, and then the negative thoughts that come through the minds. So I feel like a big, most important part about it is really praying and asking God for help to get rid of those thoughts, and to help him soothe the mind and to help soothe the skin at the same time, because whatever we think about affects our emotions, affects our entire body.
Definitely. And that's why I really wanted to bring that Bible verse up front, because it's simple, it's to the point, it's easy to remember. And just anybody who would take that word right off the bat, all of those, what you call negative thoughts, all of those harassment in your mind leaves, because there's power in the word.
Right.
That word will deal with also those negative bombardments,
Mhm.
because anybody who goes through topical steroid withdrawal, it's a bombardment on your mind. Yes, you're
Yeah.
right, Yvonne.
Yeah.
It's very challenging in the mind.
Yeah, it is. Anything else you want to
Remember,
add?
the word of God is a sword.
Yeah.
It will deal with the enemy.
Yes. Yes. And putting him at the top of everything is everything. Like there's no other way. Life is hard enough as it is. And without him there, oh my goodness, it's gonna be so much harder. So just put him there. Put him at the
Yeah.
top. Ask him for everything. I love the whole crying out for help. Cry out for help. Like we were just learning about this. Our pastor is really great about it. He was talking about like cry out to him for help for everything, because you know sometimes it's like I remember before I would always think like, yeah, I don't want to pray, like I think other people could pray, like they deserve it more than they have. Their problems are bigger than my problems, like, and it's like, no, he wants to hear all of our problems, whether they're this small, you feel like, or this big or whatever. And that is part of just like, because he wants us to rely on him for everything. So crying out for help, he wants us to do that, because how is he going to help us if we're not crying out for help, right?
Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and
Amen.
in all of your ways, acknowledge him.
So we will end our video with that. Thank you so much,
Hey.
Dublin, for taking your time and doing this interview with us. I know it's going to help so many. It has helped me. And I'm so grateful and so thankful for this opportunity to chat with you. And also, thank you for our agape shirt.
Yay, I'm wearing the same.
So Dublin did this logo for our ministry. And I'm like, so can you send the bill? And she's like, don't worry about it. I'm like, oh my goodness, we love you. So thank you for blessing us with that. I mean, like, that's
I'm blessed to bless.
yes, you're so sweet. And so thank you all so much for watching. And don't you forget to pray, whether it's this small, or this small, or this small. They're all the same, or this big. Pray.
Amen.
Pray about everything. If you need any help and need any with anything, don't hesitate to reach out to Dublin and I, because guess what? You are not alone in this. If you're dealing with eczema or psoriasis, you're not alone in this. There are so many that have been through this too, and they've got resources out there to help you with it and how to cope with it. So don't feel like you're alone in this, because you're not. Love you, Dublin. Thank you. And I love
Love you,
you. Thank you for
Yvonne.
watching and have a
Bye,
good one. Bye.
everybody.